Welcome back to the fabrication station. Ready to do a little bit more there, Cobber?
I'm ready to watch you do a little bit more.
Oh, come on. That's kind of my thing, is that I don't do anything, and then people get in the comments and tell me that, oh, how come Jeff doesn't do anything?
He only edits the whole video and makes it happen.
So at the end of the last episode, we had started running the cooler or charge piping from the turbo basically up as far as we could, because these extractors are kind of in the way of where we want the pipe to run through now, isn't that right?
Yeah, they're right where I need to cross over to get back out from underneath the car, so
That's right.
I do plan on running the cast headers, the factory cast headers on this, so
That's it.
that'll give us some more room.
It'll give us some more room, and it'll also give us some more thermal efficiency. There's a little bit of method to our madness there, and we'll explain that a little bit more a bit later, but I guess we won't ramble on for too long. First job's first, and that is to rip these extractors out, and then we can start planning how we're going to run our exhaust manifold back to the turbo.
I don't know why I started on this side. I should have done that side and then said, oh Jeff, you do that side, I'll film you.
I've been doing nothing in these videos so far. I ain't going to start now.
What do you reckon of that? Read the strap, Jeff.
Oh, yeah. So if I was tuning this there, I'd play...
If you were tuning that there'd be no strap on the fucking thing.
Hey, I haven't killed one yet.
That's only because the opportunity hasn't arisen. Don't get me wrong, I will do it too.
I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle, here is my spout. Careful of the Duke, though, Mike.
Yeah.
Don't want to go too much, eh? Oh.
Where were you on that? You were supposed to catch it, mate. Fucking hell, I can't do everything.
When I get all steamed up, then I shout. Tip me over, pour me out. Well, that was about as frustrating as I remember it being.
Yeah, yes and no. The driver's side come out easier than the passenger side. Mate.
Which was a shock.
Yeah.
We thought that was going to be a pain, but there they are. They're out. And some would say we're taking a bit of a backward step by going back to these lovely cast iron manifolds. But there is a bit of method to the madness.
Yeah, if you were staying naturally aspirated, I think for sure you'd be taking a step back. But my, as I always say, my thought pattern is, because these are pretty thick, they're cast iron, you know, quite thick. We're trying to keep as much heat and as much energy in the exhaust gas as possible, because obviously the turbo is way, way back. So you'd make more power on a sort of more tubular manifold if you were pushing a car a bit harder, but this is super mild, so this won't hold it back at all. I've got these on my car as well, so they're not a bad deal. You can make some pretty good power out of a log style manifold.
Absolutely.
So they're nice and thick, and we're going to ceramic coat these as well. So it's just going to work really well with keeping as much exhaust energy in the exhaust gas for it to spool the turbo up the back.
It's probably a little bit of a myth or a misconception that it's all exhaust flow that gets your turbo going, but there's multiple different ways that energy does transfer. So trying to keep as much of the heat within the pipe will actually spool the turbo faster than just outright flow. And like you're saying, because the turbo is so far away, the more heat that we can get down into that turbine housing, the better.
Yeah.
That's where ceramic coating is really going to come into play with these. Although being cast iron, they are going to hold a lot of heat by themselves. That ceramic coating is going to keep as much heat within inside the pipe and stop it from radiating out as possible.
Yeah, that's right. And we'll coat the entire exhaust system all the way up to the turbo.
And the turbine housing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're doing everything we can, using nice thick flanges to try and get like 100% perfect seal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need all the help we can get it to work up the back. So yeah, it should work pretty good, I think. There's a few different ways you can flange these. Obviously this is the stock. There's sort of, I've got the Y piece over there, but you've seen them before. They pull on and just seal up on that taper. You can cut a flange and machine a taper into it if you like. I've seen it that way, I've done it that way. I've also cut them off flush and just used a flat gasket with made a copper gasket for it with some sealant. I've done that as well, actually on the Turbo V8 video, the home built one. Jeff will put a link up above. This time round, I've decided we're going to use a V-band. So I'll remove these studs, weld these V-bands on there, and hopefully not have any dramas with cracking and whatnot being cast iron. I've got a couple of different filler rods there to try if one doesn't work, but it should be pretty straightforward. And use some steam pipe and build a crossover and live the dreams.
However, you do have to be careful with these things because, as we can see on, I think it's that one there, is it?
Oh yeah,
they
that's right.
can be prone to cracking.
Yeah, so I'm lucky, we're sort of lucky I just spotted that before I started welding it on. You probably won't pick it up in the camera there, but it's starting to crack through there. So if you are doing it, for you guys at home, just have a good look at your headers first, so you're not wasting your time with one that's cracked, because it is a common thing to happen for them to crack on you. And I wouldn't bother trying to weld that. I would just chase up another manifold. It's not worth the drama trying to weld crack cast iron, in my opinion, especially for the purpose that you will be if you're doing it for a turbo manifold. You know, there's going to be pressure in there as well as heat, so the juice won't be worth the squeeze, I don't reckon.
Right. And if you can't find another one of them cast headers, the effort that you would go to get that fixed, you could probably just make a steam pipe manifold.
Yeah, I mean, you might get lucky. You could probably just weld it and it might be fine, but I wouldn't muck around with it. That's not what I would do.
No.
It's a couple days later, and in true Curto fashion, I've jumped the gun. Didn't get the camera out, but here we go. I've welded the first 2 1/4 V-band onto the cast exhaust manifold. I used these rods that I got off my mate Chris. They're nickel 99. It's for welding like grey cast iron, I think it is. I seem to weld it right, besides the fact that they're like a 2.5 rod. They're probably a little bit big to try and get a really nice looking weld, but they welded alright anyway. If you don't have that, I'd recommend probably a 309 welding rod. That's sort of your go-to for any dissimilar metals, whether it be like mild steel to stainless or whatever like that. There seems to be a bit more forgiveness with cracking and stuff, so use a 309, give it a go. But I've used this nickel 99 stuff, works pretty good. I haven't actually checked this V-band on the car before welding it, so we'll throw it in the car and have a quick look. It should fit alright, and then I'll check the other side, and once I get the other side situated, that's when I can start to actually make this crossover come together. So I forgot to mention, I did preheat the cast manifold with this here preheater hooked up to a little gas barbecue bottle. So yeah, if you're going to give that one a crack yourself, put a bit of preheat into it. It just helps stop any sort of cracking that may form. So yeah, I just thought I'd show you that. Give it a bit of preheat, you'll love it. I've squeezed in, geez, by the skin of my teeth. A little look from the underside. Very tight. And I didn't even think, I just welded it straight on thinking there'd be heaps of room. I'm not even sure if I can get that V-band off like that. It might have to come in the whole lot on this side. Might need to come in from underneath maybe, but anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. The other side's bolted in now. Let's see if we can get a V-band on that one. I've just got to find where they are. I cannot get that on there. I may need to just do a flat flange on here. Maybe I'll need to cut that taper joint off, the factory taper seal, machine it flat and just make a flat flange and maybe a copper gasket, like that's what I've done on this car here. So that might be the case for that. This one here ain't gonna fit, but that's alright. I reckon we'll try that. Had another change of heart. I haven't had another really quick look because I really want to use that V-band, and I've held it in another spot where I think it might just work. I'm gonna just burn an hour, cut a couple of bits of steam pipe and just see if I can't. I mean, I know I can fit it in there now in the spot that I just went and looked at. It's a bit further off the header. I know I can fit it in there, but I need to be able to get the V-band clamp on and off, and there's only, you know, minimal room all the way around. So like anything, when you're building this stuff, not only does it need to fit in there when you're building it, you need to be able to service it, and you need to be able to fit it in and out, and it needs to be, you know, semi-practical. You don't want to pull half the car apart or not be able to get it out at all. I've done that before when you tack things up and you think it's all good and then you can't get it out of the car. I'm gonna invest an hour in, and it might not work, but I'll get the MIG, just do a couple tacks and just see if I can get this V-band. It's going to be fiddly. I know it's going to be fiddly, but if I can get it to work, at least I'm confident with the seal, and I'll be happy with it in the end. But this is how I do things. I'm not quite happy with it, so let's try and get it exactly how I want. There is no room, Toto. What's going on?
We didn't do a whole bunch of filming on it because it was pretty much the dead of night when we did, wasn't it, bud? And
I think so, yeah.
we needed about 8 sets of hands to
8 sets of hands, twice as small as these ones.
holding all these little bits and bobs through here. But the crossover's sorted out, mate.
Yeah, it's all done.
Tell us your struggles. Show us your struggles.
Struggles probably isn't the right word. It'd just be time consuming. Making sure you can get it in and out. It's
in here.
Yeah, the V-band in here is basically can really only go in that particular spot, give or take you know, probably 5 or 10 mil. And you can just get it on. Like routing it through is fine, but actually getting the clamp on and off, you can only just make it. So these are the little things that come into play when you're making something in such tight spaces. But as far as the actual task went, it was pretty straightforward. I mean, you're just joining tubes and stuff. All the mild steel's real easy to work with. It was quite good. Using the MIG, you know, you can just smack it up in there and just blast the tack on it, which is...
It's always a good day when you get to use the MIG.
Yeah, well, it's just easier, so...
Now, I'm not sure how impressed this starter motor is going to be with our decisions on how it goes, but...
Yeah, we've got a lot of faith in the ceramic coat that we're going to put on there.
We're putting a lot of faith in it, yeah.
Yeah, but it looks kind of funky in here now. When I first ordered all the parts, I've done this job before on my car, that one right there, but it had a VL manual rack in it and an auto transmission. So there was a bit more room through here, a lot more room. So this was quite a bit trickier. I couldn't put the flex bellow where I wanted it, so that's why I've had to sneak it up at the side here where I could get it to fit. So when I first planned this job, I didn't think it was going to look anything like this, but we've got really good ground clearance. We've probably got 8 to 10 mil gaps everywhere.
Yeah, barely.
So this is all tacked as well. So I've still got like an absolute shit ton of welding to go. So this will shrink and move a bit as I fabricate it, but it shouldn't be too bad. I'll weld the V-bands on last of all. I'll do all the butts and then I'll test fit it, make sure I'm happy with it before I weld the V-bands. Really don't want to weld those twice because the heat does mess around with them a little bit. So
just a bit of a sort of tech question. Obviously, like I say, we do have a lot of butt joints and stuff. Roughly, and I know it's going to be different for different metals and jobs and whatever, but roughly how much shrinkage are you going to get per joint, do you reckon?
When you've got, I know from like my industrial experience, like when you've got like when we do like pressure pipe butts and stuff, mild steel will usually, if you've got a gap, it'll shrink like half of that gap more or less you'll get in shrink. But this one's sort of, you know, we don't need a full penetration friggin' high pressure weld, you know, you just need a good amount of penetration in there. So I don't think you'll get it. You'll probably get a couple of mil over the whole job, I reckon, 2 to 3, but we've got this flex here, so we do have a bit of room. As long as we're not running into anything, it should be all right. Stainless steel's a fair bit worse. You'll get like 2/3 shrinkage on a lot of that. So, you know, add it up along the whole system, it will shrink a bit, but then you've also got to remember that when you turn the car on, it's actually going to grow a lot as well. So that can catch you out sometimes when you're making stainless exhaust. If you've got like close clearances coming up, like if you're real close to the diff or something, once that warms up, that whole tube's going to grow. I don't know, I've seen them grow like 10 to 15, sometimes 20 mil over the length of a car. So
the only thing that we really got to watch out for is with the growing and shrinking is we're really tight on this bell housing, the flywheel, and the
steering rack. Yeah.
So like
we're tight
particularly
everywhere,
like
dude.
Right here up on that power steering knuckle as well.
Yeah.
But I think we've made enough allowance. I say we because, you know, I was here.
Yeah.
I did a bit.
Well,
I did a bit, all right? I did a bit.
It's all steel, man. If it doesn't fit, we'll cut it and tweak it. It's no big deal, but
yeah,
I'm pretty happy with sort of the layout now, with how it's all run and stuff like that. Even, you know, I had to put the clamp. I didn't want this clamp hanging too low. This will be sort of the first thing that hits the ground, so I wanted that clear so it doesn't rip off. And
yeah, looks like that's going to be the lowest point, and we've dropped the car back down on the ground and we measured it, and at that point we got 110 mil clearance from the ground, so we got heaps of room.
Yeah,
we'll be able to slam this thing a little bit lower if we wanted to.
Yeah,
that's it for that bit. That was probably the most tedious and most technical part of what we got to do here.
Yeah, on the exhaust section. It's going to be pretty fun doing the cooler pipe through here, but that'll be all right. At least that doesn't get hot, you know, that's cold. We can sort of mount that where we want.
That's it.
So yeah, we're on easy street as far as the exhaust is concerned from this point out anyway.
Now let's start the long run back towards turbo.
That's it, man.
Swinging. starting to get a little bit exhausting, bruh.
Pun. We're nearly there, bro.
This is where you're in your element, though, isn't it? This is where you're just throwing pipes and gauging angles and all that sort of junk.
It's pretty much all I bring to this channel is just joining pipes on cars. Yeah. That's it.
So that's what the people want to see. So, not too long now, and we'll have to do the next difficult bit, which is do the jump over the diff and into.
Yeah, this is easy from here on out. Like, I can't remember if I showed this before or not, but this will be the next thing I do. I'll slam this on the T4 flange.
Oh, show us how it goes. Might as well, while you're here.
So it does need a bit of massaging and stuff like that, but it's going to go on there, more or less something like that.
Goes upright, and then we'll have to go up a little bit more after that V-band, up and over, and then we'll have to come down and join up with the end of that there.
That's it, and then once that's joined, I've also got to do a takeoff on here for the wastegate. So this obviously it'll come out of the turbo like that. The wastegate takeoff's going to be on this side, and we'll mount the gate on the side here. That was another reason why I use this Schedule 40 pipe. It's super strong, real easy to work with, and we'll hang a wastegate off that and we won't have to worry about it cracking like the 1.6mm stainless tube, which happens quite a lot.
And the bonus of having the gate there basically is going to be somewhere around here near the turbo. We'll be able to plumb that straight back into the dump pipe, because obviously that's the turbo outlet there. So we'll be able to plumb that straight back in nice and easy.
Yeah, we'll plumb that back in.
Knocking on anything? No, not even close. You beauty.
I need to buy some of these templates because I've given mine. The angle's going to be perfect too. Who would have thought it? Who would have thunk it?
Nice. Well, that pretty much joins it up to the turbo. Tell you what, that sits up tight on the body too. That's sick. Now, I don't know who needs to hear this, but this is valuable information. If you have a GTW 3884 with 0.94 open housing on the rear, that Marmon flange is discontinued. You can't get it. We tried, we looked everywhere. We even emailed GCG themselves, they don't have it. So, gotta say big shout out to K-Fizzy's mate Chris Ward, did us a solid.
That's it, Chris at CCW Engineering.
That's it. Managed to spin one up on the lathe for us, so that's the only way you're gonna get one. If you want one, have a mate with a lathe and some good measuring tools.
Yeah. Or you can get GCG, they will make you one, but they're on the other side of the country, so that wasn't really going to work for us.
It was going to work out if we got it from GCG, but we would have been waiting a lot longer because of freight, because we live in WA, and WA stands for wait a while. The light of a new day is finally upon us, and thank God for that, because the lack of light last night was absolutely getting on my nerves. It was alright for Kurt. Kurt wasn't trying to film, but he was getting stuck into his work last night, and look at this.
We're nearly there, mate.
Look at this monstrosity of a muffler. That is one girthy boy.
Yeah. Hopefully it knocks a little bit of noise out.
So currently trying to find its final home, which we think we've found it. It's sitting nice and high up under the body, and I'll see if we can get it through here. You still don't see a whole bunch of it underneath. There's a little tip there at the end. I don't know if we're doing a dump tip or if we're going to...
Nah. I think we're just doing like we're going to have to do a bit of a double dog leg just to bring the tip down to the right height.
Yeah.
I didn't want it hanging low where you could see a heap of it, and it just makes more sense with plumbing to have it up nice and high as well.
Yeah. So that's what we're getting stuck into now. This is the final piece of the puzzle, essentially. We just got to try and get a 90-degree that works, which is hard, not only because it's probably not an exact 90.
No, it's a bit under.
And there's also a height offset between the two, just to make a simple task.
Oh, it's just piping, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've just got there's not much room. I've got like probably that much room on the inner sort of skin, I guess you'd call it, or that wheel well. So yeah. I've sort of come back as far as I can, and that way. So now I'll do the rest with this.
Yeah. So we're just grabbing some offcuts and throwing them around, seeing, because he's obviously got sort of, I guess, pie cuts of different bends and half bends and things like that, which we're trying to make work before we cut up a fresh one to make it work. So, but this is very, very close. Obviously, for those of you who are pretty eagle-eyed, you'll notice that the exhaust system all the way to the back at the moment is only tacked. Kurt has a long couple of nights ahead of him and probably 2 bottles of gas to get this thing welded out. But yeah, once we get this bit sorted, we'll just have to find the spot for the gate, which I think you've found a spot, hey?
Yeah, I've got a spot planned for it, so it should work out all right, I think. I just wanted to get the dump pipe in first, just to make sure we don't have any clashing. But yeah, it'll be off that thick mild steel section somewhere, so yeah, it should work out good.
Mint. And then, this will be one large fab section of the job ticked off, but there's still plenty more to go.
That's it. Top and bottom, and then we can sort of do a final sort of yeah, and then
no,
yeah,
no, yeah, right, yeah. You always were pretty skilled on your back there, bruh.
True. I'm not going to argue. What?
Premature ejaculation.
It might not be true.
Also true.
Roll. Up.
I can't see, mate.
That's hard work.
Got that remote pedal set up. Tell you what, that's been a bit of an effort. Hasn't been a hell of a lot of time, but it's just been pretty fiddly, particularly when we look sort of further up there at the crossover. That was, you know, pretty fiddly. Probably fell together a little bit easier than you thought though, right?
Ah, it's just piping at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a bit tighter up the front, so I had to weld it in and out. It isn't easy to fit, to getting it in and out.
Yeah.
Especially the V-band over here near the steering knuckle. That one's pretty tricky, but other than that, it's all falling together pretty easy. It's all pretty generic, straightforward stuff.
We were just saying a little bit earlier, just off camera, like everything is super tight. Like you've got like a finger width of gap everywhere, which isn't much, but it's enough, right?
Yeah, sometimes half in some of the spots up there, but that's all you need, eh?
But have a look at this. If I just get you to move out of the way a bit for me, look at that. The sill there. You look at the body clearance. Also the clearance on the pipes to the ground. Like when we put it on the ground before, I think we measured, what was it, 110 mil. I think we've got one slightly lower point just here, but that'd only be a few mil in that.
Yeah, I mean, it's as more or less as tight as what you're going to get. It's only a 2.5 inch pipe, which helps. When you're trying to get 3.5 and 4 under here, it does get a lot harder for ground clearance. Yeah. Especially with like a 15-inch wheel. So, but there's still heaps of like little bits and pieces. It looks kind of finished. There's heaps of welding left to go. I've got to purge all this and fill it with gas and take my time and all that kind of fun stuff. Put a wastegate on the collector over there and, you know, a few other little nifty bits, but for the most part the fab's sort of done on the piping under the car, which is really good.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on that. It does look fairly complete. Obviously we've got it to the exhaust tip, which is what we wanted before we finished out the video, but it is all just tacked. We did run out of time to put the wastegate on, but we didn't want to wait to do that just to get the video out, so we made sure that we got it to the exhaust tip, which was our goal. We achieved the goal, and probably on, I don't know, maybe a change overnight or something like that, we'll be working towards just putting that gate. We've got a rough spot of where we want it, so get the gate on. Also, the exhaust hanger just up here was not really playing the game, so...
Yeah, it's tricky. I'll have to pull it off. There's a lot of on and off. Anyone that does their own fab on this car stuff, there's a lot of on and off, which can be frustrating at times, but especially when you're like doing stainless and you're doing it with a TIG and you're not just... It's really easy. That's why I kind of enjoyed doing some of that crossover, because you could just stick in there and MIG blast attack on things. It just makes life so much easier, whereas trying to get two hands and a head up in there, it's not always easy. So
that's it.
But yeah, a bit of mounting and a few other bits of bracket and stuff, all the boring stuff that takes most of the time, or some of the time anyway.
So as far as exhaust manifolds go, this and dump pipe, I guess, this turbo kit's complete now. Obviously there's still a lot of other stuff to finish the turbo kit, being the charge pipe isn't complete yet. We need to plumb it for oil and things, but this is a major hurdle sort of overcome, because now we've got, you know, our packaging, and we can work on it from there.
Yeah, like my old boss where I did my apprenticeship, he used to call it visual progress. He wanted some visual progress, and that's what we've got. We've laid some pipes in. And,
that's it. It looks good in the photos.
It's, what would you call it, SEMA finished nearly, so...
Yeah.
No, it's all right. We're getting along. It's cool.
Oh, man, I just wish that we did have the gate on and we could just turn the key and listen to it, but we're a long way off that.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff left to do.
Well, I don't know, you won't be able to see off camera, but just over here, we're actually getting ready to record a podcast, so I'm going to call it on this one. Don't go to torqhub.com.au to get your merch, because hot news straight off the press, we got 3 new items on the boil getting ready for the drop, so just hold off. I could have told you to go get it and then paid shipping twice, but just hold off a little bit.
That's it. Some new colour variances and a new design. That's right. We're pretty excited about it.
We're moving away from black on the shirt. This one won't be a black shirt. Actually, there's 2 new shirts and 1 new headwear piece. So keep your eyes peeled. There will be a pre-order. It'll be on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. We'll let you all know so you don't miss out. But that's it for now.
That's it. Thanks for watching as always. See you on the next one.
Cheers.